Hi, Jewish Mom. Two announcements before I start. First of all, you notice a new background. I've actually had to move my computer. My daughter took over my study. So now this is going to be the new background of these pep talks. Also, I want to apologize that again. I think like last week there might be some drilling in the background. I hope not as loud as last week. But I hope not. So we'll see. Just as a warning, okay? But I feel like the show must go on. This construction is not going to stop these pep talks, okay? So over Shavuot, then I had a chance to do a lot of reading of like Jewish magazines, and I read some really inspirational stories that I want to share with you. The first thing that I read that really made an impression on me was in Bina magazine, and it was an article about Rebbetzin Devorah Leah Twerski. So she is the mother of 5 extraordinary sons, several of whom are or were very famous. One of them was Reb Shloime Zatzal, who was a very famous rabbi and tzaddik in Denver, Rabbi Shloime Twerski. Another one is Rabbi Dr. Avram Twerski, who was a famous psychiatrist and author of many books and addiction specialist. That was one of her sons. And also Reb Michal Twerski, who's the Horner Stapler Rebbe in Milwaukee. So it's and also she had a son named Reb Aaron, who is still a professor at Brooklyn Law School. So whatever, she has a lot of sort of like, so she managed to raise all these sons, who are sort of people who are great, like let's say lights in the Jewish world and in like the world in general. And the most amazing thing is that Rebbetzin Devorah Leah Twerski, she managed to raise these sons who are really leaders in the Jewish world in Milwaukee, which back then, now actually I think Milwaukee has a sizable Jewish community, has a sizable religious community. Back then, it was really like a Jewishly, it was, in terms of observant Judaism, it was a desert. There was like almost nothing there. So her husband was the Horner Stapler Rebbe, and she, Rebbetzin Devorah Leah, she was the daughter of the Baba Rebbe. And so basically they just write about, so this whole story is about raising Jewish children and raising children who became really great leaders, great Jewish leaders, and very, very devout 5 Jewish children in Milwaukee, in this Jewish like wasteland where nothing was happening. And somehow from the force of her character and her husband's character and the power, the powerful Jewish experience of being raised in this family's house, they just managed to raise these great Jews. So I just want to share one story that really made an impression on me. So the Twerski sons, unbelievably again, like the Horner Stapler Rebbe, attended a public school. All of them attended public schools. Pretty amazing, because there were no Jewish schools. So they share this story about Rabbi Dr. Avram Twerski. So he was talking about. So basically, what happened was, so they got a bunch of the brothers together to talk about their mother for this article with a journalist. And so they asked Rabbi Dr. Twerski to tell the story of an encounter that he had with his 3rd grade teacher, Miss Alski. And it'd be like recently he had run into her at like a banquet in Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know where, somewhere at like an awards banquet, and so he says that the teacher came up to him and said this: Abraham, do you remember when you were the clown in the Christmas play? You get that? So Rabbi Dr. Avram Twerski, and when he was in 3rd grade, he was a clown in the Christmas play. Okay, and I said, this is his response, and I said to her, sure. Well, she said, the week after that, I got a call from your mother, and I thought I was in trouble for putting the rabbi's son in the play. But what she wanted to know was if you were self-conscious because you were one of the shortest kids in the class. I said, I don't think so, and that's all she wanted to know. So I said, Mrs. Twerski, I was certain you were going to reprimand me for putting Abraham in the Christmas play. And your mother said, now listen to this. She said, if what we have given him at home cannot withstand such things, we have totally failed. I thought this is extraordinary. So her son is in just a Jewish desert, attending a public school. He's a clown in the Christmas play. And the mother, she just knows her home is so strong. Her home, she's the daughter, there's an interesting quote in the article. They said that somebody asked how the parents made the transition to Milwaukee. And one of the sons said, my father, he remained for his entire life in Hornesteipel, and my mother remained for her whole life living in Babov. And somehow they were able to maintain the power of the Jewish experience of growing up in the shtetl, and in the house of the Babov Rebbe, in the Hornesteipler Rebbe, and transported that to the Jewish wasteland of Milwaukee. Unbelievable. Okay? So I'm going to share another story which I felt sort of had the same theme. It's one of much. I just want to say. I said I bought a bunch of magazines. Actually, for the first time, I bought Ami magazine. And I was really impressed. And I'm going to be buying it. I haven't really looked so much at the main section of Ami magazine, but the women's magazine of Ami, it's called Ami Living. It's fantastic, and I'm going to be buying it. I hope. Every week, it's really several of the articles really moved me to tears, and they're so real and well written, and just powerful things about about the experience of being a Jew in the world. And so there's a beautiful article. The most moving article that I read in Ami Living was an article by a mother. It's written by a woman named Sareli L'Aren. And Sareli L'Aren she has a son who has cancer, so she writes a beautiful article about the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That there's an organization which offers seriously ill children the opportunity to wish for anything that they want, right? So kids, wish to meet President Obama, or they wish to go, riding in a race car. Or they dream of going to Disneyland, or meeting a famous sports player or something. So I was deeply moved to read about her son, and how her son's wishes. Well, you'll see how all of her son's wishes, the thing that he wants most in the whole world. Well, you'll see. Okay, So she says, as soon as she told her son, I think her son was 11 years old at the time, she said, as soon as we told him what was going on with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he got right to work, consulting with everyone he knew for ideas. Making a wish was a huge responsibility. I'm so worried, he confessed, that whatever I choose, I'll regret having chosen it once it's over. My married daughter spent hours with him discussing his options. He decided that we should all go to France, visit the birthplace of Rashi, and spend time at the French version of Disneyland. He was absolutely sure that's what he wanted. Change of plans, he announced a while later. Now he wanted the Make-A-Wish Foundation to fashion a custom-made gold menorah, according to the description in the Torah of the menorah and the tabernacle. My sons debated whether or not this was permissible and suggested he ask for a silver one instead. Okay, then she's I'm skipping a little bit. Yet despite all the input, we still couldn't decide on the perfect wish. Okay, I'm skipping. That Shabbos, we get a few more suggestions. That Shabbos, he sat at his grandmother's Shabbos table, savoring her cholent. I remember, the grandmother says, that a little boy once asked for a Sefer Torah, she mused. It was many years ago. He was very sick, and they brought it to him at the hospital. He was so happy. What happened to him? My son asked. He got better, my mother said. Unknowingly, a seed was planted in my son's heart. While he continued to pester everyone for ideas, his Rebbe and schoolmates, siblings and parents, he also started talking about the possibility of wishing for a Sefer Torah. His father held his breath, knowing that would be the most incredible thing my son could possibly ask for, but not saying a word so as not to pressure him into a decision that wasn't his own. I'm skipping a little bit. Having finally come to a decision, my son began eagerly to await the Make-A-Wish volunteers' visit. He finally decides for sure he wants to buy a Sefer Torah. Basically, they asked the rabbi about the halachic implications of this, and the rabbi said everything's fine. He sat down, the son sat down and made a list of all the reasons he wanted a Sefer Torah to convince them that it was truly an excellent idea. He was ready when they finally arrived one Friday in early winter. Look, he said, showing them the bookcases of Sfarim lining our dining room walls. These books are all commentaries on the Torah, and every room upstairs has more bookcases full of them. I study these holy books. My brothers have hundreds of Sfarim they received as presents for their bar mitzvahs, and then they went out and bought more. I already have 2 shelves of books that I own that are all commentaries on the Torah. He then gave them a demonstration, taking out the klafim, the parchment, ink, and feather pen he'd received as a gift earlier that year. He showed the volunteers how to cut the feather and dip it into the ink before writing on the parchment. The Asian volunteer for the Make-A-Wish Foundation listened in respectful silence, taking notes on everything he said. The other volunteer, the mother of a child who had also received a wish, listened in amazement. As a Jewish woman, although not observant, she understood the great significance of the request. She said, "My son asked me with a certain basketball star," she revealed. "It was very meaningful to him, and he'd never forgotten it. But this is something else." "Most children want to go to Disneyland," the Asian volunteer commented. "Why do you want a Torah scroll?" My son said, "It's a mitzvah for every Jew to write a Sefer Torah. When I become bar mitzvah, I want to be able to fulfill this commandment." "But aren't there many other mitzvahs you can do?" she asked. "Yes," he explained, "but this is the only one that's too expensive to do on my own." Oh my God, I was so blown away by this article. I just felt like what it is, like what this means, like to raise somebody, especially like in a world where 99.99% of the children in America, like if they could get anything that they wanted, if they could make a wish, what would they want? They would want to meet this famous basketball star, or go to Disney World, or take a plane trip around the world, or I don't know, something completely meaningless and hedonistic. And here's this Jewish boy. Here's this 0.001%. This Jewish boy who, like Rebbetzin Devorah Leah Twerski, in the wasteland of Milwaukee, this mother managed to raise a son who if he could wish anything in the world, what does he want? He wants a Sefer Torah. I just found this so moving. So I just want to bless us, Jewish moms. We're not raising our children, I think most of us are not, the vast majority of us are not raising our children in Jewish wastelands, but I think that it's really inspirational. It's just like the idea of raising a child in a house that is so infused with Judaism and love of Judaism and love of Hashem, that what our children want more than anything else is connection with Judaism and connection with Hashem. So I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week.